and welcome to Down the Middle. I'm Michael Thomas, your host, and as always, I'm so pleased that you're able to join us. Most people, when they hire an attorney, they hire the lawyer because they want to do one thing, and we all know what that is. They want to win. That's the goal. My lawyer has to be tough, and we have to win. Today, I have a guest who not only wins cases, but has had, in different circumstances than many attorneys, overcome some obstacles. And that's what you want an attorney to be able to do. You know, if you have a case, it could be personal injury where you slip and fall and your lawyer takes the case. There may be some problems with whatever is happening, and you want an attorney who can get past those problems, get over the hurdles. You may have a situation with your landlord, if you're a tenant, and you have a problem with dealing with the landlord, and that's an obstacle that your attorney will help you get over. Well, the attorney we have here today is one Richard Sweeney, who's very highly regarded in the Westchester area and throughout New York State, and he has had to overcome a very significant hurdle after becoming an attorney. And now I'm going to let Richard talk, and he's going to tell you what the hurdle is that he had to overcome and how he did it. Richard?
Sure.
Good to see you.
Oh,
yep.
Michael.
Yep. And as you heard in the opening, I didn't give up too much information. I sort of like to keep it as a surprise.
Well, I have my cane here.
Yes.
What you're referring to is my blindness. About 2 years after I became an attorney, I lost my eyesight due to diabetes, and certainly at first there was a adjustment, difficult adjustment. I had been driving, and I had to stop driving. In fact,
I would hope so.
Yes,
of course. Yeah, right.
I've totally my vision is totally gone.
Totally gone. Okay, so you don't really see anything at this stage.
Right.
Okay.
So the police come over to the house, and my sister-in-law is there, and police say, Richard Sweeney, and my sister-in-law says, no, he's not home right now. And the officer says, well, he has to turn in his license. And she says, oh, no problem, he'll drive it over later. And that's like, no.
Said, no, we don't think so. That's good.
So I went over with someone else. We dropped off the license.
Right.
I did have to turn that in.
Oh, they did come to you.
Oh, they came.
Now,
yeah.
how is it that they were aware of that? That's something I didn't think happened.
I don't know.
Okay.
I have to think it was my doctor. Maybe they're obligated to report.
I see. Okay.
That's the only way I can think of it, because I didn't call out. Obviously, I wasn't going to drive. I can't see that would present problems.
Right.
So,
like they make jokes sometime about different well-known people.
road
that
rage.
drivers. Right.
They say, "Oh, that driver's blind."
Yeah. Right. That type of thing. Can't see a lick.
Yeah.
Now, as an attorney, first, where did you get your education, and what
Fordham Law School,
okay.
Oneonta undergrad, Stepanak High School, Annunciation Grammar School.
Okay. Now,
Funny thing about that too is,
right.
I think the Annunciation Grammar School alumni is more active than any of the others.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Now, where is Annunciation?
It's in Yonkers,
Okay.
northeast Yonkers.
So, northeast. Okay.
Yeah.
So close to, I guess, is it Bronxville?
off Central Avenue.
Right. Okay.
I mean, it's off Scarsdale Road, if you're familiar with it.
Right. I see. Okay. And they're very active.
Yeah.
I
sure.
see. That's nice.
Alumni every 5 years, alumni party.
Mm-hmm. That's good. Yeah, because the schools I went to, the ones that really are active are my college and the law school. But also I went to a school in Terrytown called Hackley.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're the most active.
Sure.
I mean, I get everything from them. I go there like 4 or 5 times a year for all kinds of events. So that's good that they keep that connection.
Yes, yeah. It's enjoyable, seeing friends you've known since grammar school, people you knew so well. And
Right. And that's great. After getting out of law school, from Fordham, you started work. Like where? Where was your first?
My father's law firm, Serrato, Sweeney, Cohn, I think at the time.
I see. Okay.
Became Serrato, Sweeney, Cohn, Stoll, and Vaccaro.
Right.
I was doing real estate with them, bank closings.
That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And how did that work out? Was that sort of, well, you started there right out of law school?
Yeah.
Okay, so your vision wasn't impaired as
No.
at that time, right?
Vision was fine. You know, I think like many firms, they just go, yeah, you've got a closing today.
Okay.
And, you know, you better do it right.
Right.
So after a few, you know, they kind of become routine, but that's what I was doing when I started.
Okay. Now, after you became blind, did that change the type of practice that you had?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought I should do trial work instead of something so paperwork intensive. I still do real estate.
You do? Okay.
Not so much. It's a much smaller part of my practice.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know, 5 or 10%. But
okay, yes.
Very small percent. I started doing criminal defense. And I did that for a few years. My dad was a general practitioner, so, you know, there was always someone to go to and ask questions.
Right, okay.
I joined the 18B panel in Yonkers.
Okay, so 18B,
You know,
for those who may not know, that's a panel that lawyers sign up for, and then the judges assign an attorney, you as one of them working, to represent a defendant that's charged with some crime, maybe a misdemeanor, in some instances a felony, and they don't have the funds to hire an attorney. So the law that permits that is called the 18B law. So you signed up for that?
I signed up for that, misdemeanor and felony, and I did everything in the that you can do in the criminal defense area, including jury trials, felony jury, misdemeanor jury. Never had a murder case. But
no, okay, not yet. You're a young man still.
That's right.
Yeah, time. Now, which courts do you go to? Mainly in Westchester County?
Yes. Just for transportation issues. Westchester is easy to get around, particularly southern Westchester. It's rare that I take a northern Westchester case. I live in Yonkers. I work in Yonkers.
Right, okay.
I'm based in Yonkers. Most of my cases are Yonkers City Court.
Right.
I also do White Plains County, White Plains, and the local courts too, New Rochelle, Mount Vernon.
Mount Vernon, okay.
As well.
And I guess any of the little smaller towns, if they have anything like Irvington, Dobbs Ferry, you know, or whatever. So that's interesting. And what's the interaction in certain instances when you're assigned some defendant, let's say in the Yonkers court? The defendants, the accused, I should say, who are defendants, do they have any misgivings or any extra questions to ask you because of blindness? Every
now and then, somebody just can't get beyond the fact of my blindness. It's not often. It's really rare. And I take private cases too, by the way.
Right. Okay.
So, but every now and then, you know, they say, "Oh, well, I'm going to hire myself an attorney." And I say, "Well, good. You're supposed to if you can."
Right. Okay. Yeah, because some people they get the free attorney, which for some reason, and I know exactly how it can be. They think they're getting a cheap shot.
Right.
Which is, in many instances, they're getting a better deal.
Very experienced attorney.
Right, experienced attorneys to handle it.
Day.
Right, and in those instances, which a lot of times you don't really need that much, if you need to hire an investigator, the law does permit you to hire an investigator to go out and the county pays for it.
Yeah.
Whereas some private attorneys sometimes they don't bother because they don't want to go through the routine of.
Well, the client has to come up with the money first.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, they don't go through the routine of getting their money because people can postpone that until next never.
Yes.
When it's no longer a bill, it's like a distant memory that I think that lawyer wanted, you know, money for this or that.
Yeah, but usually I don't have a problem because I think I have a very good reputation.
Yes, yeah, I know that myself.
Even up at the jail, you know.
Right, okay.
They talk.
So,
defendants talk, and they're like, "Oh, you got the blind attorney."
I
wish they recognized it's Sweeney. The name is Sweeney.
Well, you know, that's how people go.
Yeah.
Well, because as you probably know, I don't know if it's generally known that much, but Judge Arthur, otherwise called Mike Duran, when he was the judge there in Yonkers. He's retired now. Did you have cases with him?
Oh yeah, sure. I've been before.
Well, he wore a patch over one eye.
Yes.
And he still does.
And in the jail, his nickname was Patches.
So you got it. Yeah, because a couple of rap songs, they mention that.
Do they?
Yeah,
Really?
they say they went up to so-and-so, and I came through Yonkers, I got hung up, and I had to go in front of Patch Eye. So you hadn't heard that before.
No,
yeah,
I hadn't heard that.
I heard that through some of the young people. I said, wow. He said, he's famous, in music and everything. So that's interesting. Yeah. But, I was partners with a fellow named Sykes. So it was Thomas, my name, and Sykes. And many times we walk through Getty Square, they say, hey, what's up, Mr. Sykes? I said, well, it's Thomas, but that's all right. And he gets the same thing. Hey, Thomas, how you doing? But people,
firm, right?
yeah, people can get a little bit confused, and that's easy for them to latch on to, whatever they can remember. Other than the criminal, which you have the private criminal cases and those assigned by the court, what are some of the other types of cases?
I'm also in family court. I appear in family court. I represent, I'm on the panel of attorneys for the children.
Right, okay.
So I represent the child in any kind of case like custody, visitation, if there's involvement in a family offense. I also practice doing those areas not as attorney for the child, representing a party.
Right, okay. So now in
JDs
Yonkers, where is the family court in Yonkers now?
It's now 131 Warburton Avenue. It used to be 53 South Broadway, which is a building I'm familiar with because my dad had a firm there when I was very young.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the family court, I think, took over the whole building at some point.
I see, okay.
But before that, way back in the 60s, I think,
because there's a movie theater, I think, was in that building at the bottom.
Yeah, there was a Pix there.
Right, there was a theater. When I was a kid, I always remember because I saw Frankenstein, the original one.
It scared you that much? You remember it?
It scared me because I was very young. I don't remember the exact age. I could have been 8, 9, or whatever. Back then, movies cost a nickel. I mean, not nickel, a quarter. I won't go that far back, or 50 cents or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I did it or whatever, but I went to the movie by myself. And I always remember because when I came out of the movie, it was like dusk. And I started walking. And then I started walking fast. And I started running to get home. Yeah. I kept looking back for Frankenstein. The one thing in my mind was, at least that Frankenstein walked very slow.
Exactly.
So I said, well, I know I can get away from this guy. I lived, whatever, not that far away, maybe a mile and a half away. So I ran home. And I always remember that. I said, I'm never going to see a movie like that alone again.
No, company's better.
Right, yeah. But that building, because, but it's good they moved out of it. I don't know what the new one is like, the newer one is like, but that, I always remember there was problems with the elevator.
Yes.
In 53
South Broadway. They had someone there working the elevator.
Okay.
When I was very young.
Right. Oh,
I think they made it automatic.
Right, they did. It had little problems. I used to do the same thing with representing as a guardian ad litem or whatever for the children. And the only thing I remember, I don't know if it's still the same in family court, some of the cases seem to stretch on forever.
Yes, that's unfortunate, particularly when you're dealing with custody, visitation type things.
Right. You go in January, then the next time you get in there again is April, and then it's November, and then it's the next January. Yeah. And you're saying, wow, it's got to be some end to this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like the people, by then they move, fade away, or whatever.
Right.
So you have that, and you said you do some of the real estate. What types of, is it mainly residential?
Yeah.
Residential, okay. So now as far as reading the documents, how does that work with you? Are you
different ways? I have legal assistants who work with me. I have scanners. I even have a scanner on my phone.
Oh, okay.
For a quick, if I'm in court, if somebody called in sick and my assistant isn't there, I can scan the document and get the gist of it.
Right, okay.
Whatever I need to do.
So the document, is it something that it can talk?
Yes.
Okay.
I've got the iPhone 10. It's got voiceover and Siri.
I see, okay.
So I need an address, I can ask Siri.
Right, right.
With the voiceover, it reads documents.
Is it pretty accurate?
As far as the
seem to interpret
scanner,
everything?
not particularly.
Okay.
A desktop would be better.
Right.
But it does the job.
That's pretty good. You can get the gist and
Yeah.
everything. That's good.
Yeah.
And like you said, then you at the closing, is there anything different you have to do with the
I usually
closing
bring
of
in
these
some
things?
because at a closing, it's all documents.
Right.
Client has to sign it, So I usually bring somebody in to do the closing with me, who's going to explain every document.
Right.
Before they sign it, they have to sign it because the bank requires it. But,
Right.
Yeah, I usually have somebody come with me.
Come and help with that because we have those documents. And then, of course, the main thing at the closings is always going to be the same thing. Those checks
Yes.
that go back and forth,
Sure.
from the bank and everything. Now, in New York now, this is, besides everything else, at most of the closings you go to, do both the buyer and the seller usually show up?
Yes.
They're both there, right?
I mean, if you've got a husband and wife, and the husband is, out of the country doing business, whatever, you can do a power of attorney.
The power of attorney,
for the
right.
wife, and go ahead.
Yeah, because that was one thing. My son's an attorney who both in New York and Connecticut. And just the other day when I was talking to him, said in Connecticut, most of the time the sellers don't attend at all. They give
I suppose
whatever.
as long as they sign the documents ahead of.
Yeah, it works out right.
Sign the deed, But sometimes the whole reason to have a closing and have everybody there is sometimes things come up.
That
Maybe
absolutely.
there's a municipal violation or
Right.
who knows what, some extra tax that nobody knew about until the title company picked it up.
Right. And that's at the closing is when it happens. And the
Yeah.
title company, sometimes they miss things at a certain point, and then somebody finds it, and then they've got to make a decision.
Exactly.
And the people that are there, they have to make some adjustments sometimes in what happens. So it's not just like, hey, how you doing? Good, shake hands, give the checks, and get out.
Right. No.
Yeah.
It takes. I think a quick closing is 1 hour.
Right.
So.
So that's always a possibility. Now, to go back a little bit, when you did the transition from practicing, with sight and then, being blind, what did you actually do? How did you handle that in the beginning?
Well, my mom was helped me out like 5 days a week.
Okay.
So, she was reading to me. The New York State Office of Blind and Visually Impaired, they get involved and they, do an evaluation. They say, well, you could use this. For example, because of my diabetes, I need a talking blood glucose monitor.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So they
That's something.
supplied that.
Right.
At first I didn't even try because I thought, oh, that's not going to work.
Uh-huh.
So I was a little resistant, but came around and I've been using it since.
Now, what organization was that?
State Office of Blind and Visually Impaired.
Okay. All right. And so they were helpful
Oh, yeah.
in
Very
getting
helpful,
that. Yeah.
Sure.
Did you have to reach out first to them? They reach out to you? Or how'd that
No, I
work?
reached out to them.
Right. Okay. And
And
easy to find who they were?
Yeah.
And that they exist? Okay, that's
no
good.
problem. Yeah, they also gave me a computer, a talking computer, which has a screen reader.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I do all of my own, not all, most of my own typing, preparing motions, that kind of thing. Legal research. I got Lexis. It's compatible with my JAWS program, the screen reader.
Okay, what's it called? JAWS program?
It's called JAWS, yeah.
Okay.
Jobs Access for Windows. So,
Right. All right.
so,
Good. That's interesting. And
Yeah. So I'm able to do that. I can go online. I can read documents, Microsoft Word. If it's document in WordPerfect, that's problematic.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah, but
Right.
anything on Microsoft Word.
Well, that's good
Yeah.
to know. And with again introduction in the beginning to getting clients, how did that work at the
Well,
beginning?
I started out doing assigned work,
Right. Okay.
and after that, my mother worked with me. I don't know, full time for a couple of years, I think. And my
Good
sis-
mom. You always
Yes,
go to the
that's
mom. That's a big thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Like there's
my
a song,
sister, too.
I'll always love my mama. She brought me in the world.
And my sister helped out. But eventually I realized, college students and law students could really benefit from, going to court with me,
Yes.
learning the law, filling in, the blanks. Law is so much of a form business. For example, there's a misdemeanor waiver of rights if a client charged with a misdemeanor is taking a plea on a misdemeanor.
Mm-hmm.
There's forms to fill out, and I have to go over that with my client. It's all done verbally in the felonies.
Right, right.
Witnesses, the defendant is asked, do you understand your rights? Did you discuss them with your attorney? You understand you're giving up constitutional rights to a trial, to cross-examine witnesses by taking this plea? Yes. And, that's...
Yeah, it's very important because the person has to
have to
know that.
Understand their rights before they can give them up.
Absolutely.
But there's the forms, and so as far as the students, I still have students working with me.
These are students, high school, college, law school?
Not high school. It's
right,
a little
okay.
young, and it's college. They might have a day or two.
Okay.
And same with law school, where they don't have to be in school, and so when I have an assistant, they have to work a full day, 9 to 5.
I see. Right. That makes sense to do that. So you work with the students and everything. Now, other organizations that you're involved in at this point, a couple of organizations.
Well,
that you work with?
You mean community service?
Community service type of thing.
Sure.
Right.
Working with Access Westchester, which helps build playgrounds for all children, including disabled children. So
I see.
we make sure there's things that included that someone who's visually impaired can deal with. Wheelchair,
wheelchairs,
accessibility.
right. Okay.
Things have to be at the right level.
Mm-hmm.
Things like that. I'm Lions Club, former Yonkers Rotary, Yonkers Lions Club.
Oh, the Yonkers Lions. Where did they meet? Are they?
They've moved from restaurant to restaurant. Right now, it's at San Martino Restaurant, which is just off Central Avenue.
Oh, okay. Because did they used to be close to the Riverdale border?
Like I said, they've moved around.
They moved around, yeah.
I
so
know.
it's time.
Let's see, Old Stone Mill on
Okay.
Tuckahoe border.
Near the Tuckahoe. Okay.
Can't think of anything
So a couple
else.
other places.
Yeah,
right.
it just moves. If somebody complains and not enough parking, just move.
Right.
So.
And there was a time back, I believe, a few years back, when you sat as a Yonkers City Court Judge.
That's correct.
And what was that like?
Well, I was appointed to fill a vacancy in 2010.
Okay.
And of course, to that point, I had tried to run for judge, and I was always saying, well, look, I can do it because I've got the talking computer, I use my cane. I think that was even before cell phones, and now I've got the phone.
Right.
There's a lot of devices which help.
Mm-hmm.
So I became a judge, and I was able to do it. I mean, I remember covering 3 courts, the same morning. If
landlord, tenant,
sick,
or
there's
criminal, or whatever.
Yonkers is landlord, tenant, small claims, traffic, and criminal.
Right.
Criminal being the largest.
Mm-hmm.
But there's conference parts. There's the drug part. There's a lot of different subparts.
Because last I remember, they had like 6 judges. I don't know if that's the case still.
It's 7 now.
It's 7. Okay.
One is retiring. Judge Gaffney is retiring. So
right.
that's the open position that I'm running for.
Right. Oh, good. So you're running for judge now.
I'm running.
Now you've had that experience, so there'll be nothing really new for you.
Nothing
other than being elected for. Is it a 10-year term now?
It's a 10-year term.
10-year
yes.
term. I know years ago it was a 6-year term, then they changed things around. So.
10. Yeah.
What's it like campaigning at this point? Going to different bus stops or train locations, restaurants?
We're going to start the trains soon. Yonkers has a lot of events.
Okay.
I mean, the voters I have to appeal to are Yonkers voters, and but there's just so many. Like last night, I had 3 events.
I see. Okay.
The Chima Senior Citizen Community event. What else was there? Hyatt Community.
Right. Okay.
And there was also a political meeting. So I couldn't make all three. I made two.
As you
There's
could.
just so much time. All of them start at 7:30.
Right. No, it's tough.
So you just can't do it. But there's so many things.
Right.
Over the summer, we had the concert series, the jazz concert series. Right.
Yeah, down on the waterfront in Yonkers at the
Pier.
Shell, I guess, next to X2O.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Very nice though.
Jazz
with the
and blues.
Palisades, right
Beautiful.
on the Hudson River.
Beautiful at
Yes.
night. It just as it
Very
gets
nice.
just getting dark and everything, the
Yes.
sun is setting down there.
Untermeyer Park.
Right.
That was Friday nights. The jazz was Friday nights. Saturday, Untermeyer Park has
Right.
events every Saturday in the summer. Different concerts. And
In fact, we saw each other just
That's
a little
right,
while
we
ago
met
at
the-
Untermeyer.
that was Untermeyer, yes.
Yeah, long time ago. I won't go that whole long drawn out story. But I was a commissioner of Parks and Recreation for Yonkers.
really?
Yes. So I was part of just making that place a little better. Untermeyer.
Yes.
It had gone down, down, down. But that's
Sure. And
that's a long time back.
who was it? David Berkowitz had some.
Yeah, he was killing cats and dogs and everything up there.
Some kind of worship, devil worship type
Right.
stuff.
Bad news. I was in the same building that he was in the night he was arrested.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was looking out the window and saw all these cops, and had a friend living in that same building. Creepy.
And for those who don't know,
Son of Sam.
Son of Sam, he was shooting at couples in cars.
Right. He wasn't
a
doing
lot
it in
of
Yonkers.
us-
He was doing it in the Bronx and in Brooklyn and Queens. I don't know if he ever went to Staten Island, but
Yeah, I don't know.
bad news. Well, thanks a lot.
Okay.
I appreciate you, taking the time to be
Michael,
here. You know,
pleasure to be here.
yeah,
and,
it's great. And I'm sure if you hit that bench, you'll be doing a good job.
Yep, thank you.
Well, once again, Down the Middle has given you an interesting topic. I know as I sit here with Richard, I know I learned something new, and I hope you did too. Remember, every time Down the Middle is on, turn us on and enjoy the topics that we always discussed of interest. Thank you very much. And we thank Richard Sweeney.
Thank you all for listening.
May very well be Judge Sweeney
Back.
in the near future.